When she was in 8th grade, Olivia Eisenhauer collapsed during a volleyball game. Fast forward a few years later, she now has a new perspective on life and an unbreakable bond with a person she will never have the chance to meet. Cronkite News reporter Reed Harmon has more on the heartfelt story.
In journalism, we look for inspiring stories to tell of people who have experiences unlike any other. At the Walter Cronkite School here in Phoenix, there's Olivia Eisenhauer, a student who loves storytelling as well. In this case, however, her story is the one to tell. I had the honor to speak with all of the families that are a part of this encouraging life of this young lady. Olivia Eisenhauer wears her heart on her sleeve. The Kansas native is far from home, being at Arizona State, and for a moment at an 8th grade volleyball game, Eisenhower's heart had no life left.
I went and was playing club volleyball over the summer and walked off the court and went into sudden cardiac arrest.
She was gray. She was gray. And we later found out that we had seconds.
Following that, I was in a medically induced coma for 2.5 days for them to kind of stabilize my condition and figure out what was going on. I survived that, thank you to an AED defibrillator that you see on the walls almost everywhere now.
And for a family feeling helpless as they see their daughter's lifeless body on the hardwood floor, you could say it was a sense of panic.
I was out of my ever-loving effing mind. Then when it became apparent and all these people were failing at CPR, I had just come from work. So I'm in a suit wearing heels. I throw my flipping heels in the air. Like, who does that? I was out of my ever-loving mind.
She had a second cardiac arrest just 2 years later, but was not as severe. Eisenhauer was diagnosed with restrictive cardiomyopathy, a condition that affects the oxygen levels of the heart. It was then that the family learned she would need a heart transplant at just 14 years old.
There was never a doubt that this was ever going to work. We even, after they finally determined that a heart transplant was the only treatment, it was kind of a blow at first, but it's like, all right, how do we do this? What are the nuts and bolts? We did all the research on transplants, did probably too much research on transplants.
After that research, the family found out that transplants are a waiting game. For Eisenhauer, that game was 2 years. Eisenhower's match came from 22-year-old Colorado native Connor Gilmore, a man his family says was loved throughout his community for his big heart and his passion for off-roading. Gilmore died in a car accident in December of 2018. His heart now beats for Olivia's life, a life she says she won't take for granted.
So Olivia makes me smile.
She's a special young lady that makes us smile.
They know that I'm putting the heart to good use. And they know that they're not putting it to waste, but that I'm carrying out a life that they would have wanted their son to have.
OrganDonor.gov says that one donor can save up to 8 lives. According to his family, Connor Gilmore was one of the healthier donors, with basically all of his organs applicable to be donated. So while his life was lost, the person he was is reflected in the amount of people he is now able to help. In the studio, Reed Harmon, Cronkite News.